Hey guys, it's Ray,
Chad, and Pat.
Blaise Alexander, Greater Hazleton. It is Wheels and Deals.
Wheels and deals.
It's cold as heck.
How about tracks and racks?
Yeah, we should. But listen, it's the holiday season time, which means it's a great time to get out. The weather's changing a lot, so you do want to make sure that, you check your tires, you check your fluids. What else would you check in the winter?
You say tires?
Yeah, I said tires.
Oh, okay. You said fluids. Keep your battery levels in your car. Make sure you run them all the time. Keep the batteries up.
Yeah, they don't know. But we just spent a whole month donating turkeys for the Valor, which helps veterans. I know we had a stint here with the Stuart Tank. Said it's just a really good time. We helped out the telethon. We answered the phone bank. We did some emceeing for the telethon.
You're everywhere.
Well, it's just time to give, and that's what it's about. So not only are we giving you good deals, but we're giving you, I don't know, I guess our time. Blaise is very big with charities all over. I know we give to St. Joseph's. So just be thankful, be thankful you're able to give. And of course, we want to talk about cars, but we want to give you good advice on when to get rid of a car. A lot of people say, when's the best time to trade a car?
Anytime's a good time to trade a car.
Well, most of the time, I think you have those certain mileage breaks where if you like getting a new car, if you could do it around 34,000 miles before it runs out of the bumper to bumper, it's probably your first good time to get rid of it.
Yeah, and then when it's getting close to 100.
Yeah, or
60.
Yeah, I was thinking 60.
There's
Unless it's
several
diesel.
milestones. 30, 35, 60, 100.
Yeah, 90s.
Yeah,
probably better
before
off.
it gets to 100.
Yeah, before it gets to 100. But then I also do want to talk about, people like, well, is it better to buy new? Is it better to buy used? And, I was thinking about that. If my parents only buy new. I don't know why. But they don't want someone else's headache is what they say. But, for me, I like buying something a year or two old. The higher the mileage, the better, because it affects the price you pay for it. But then you can get a warranty and cover for 100,000 miles.
Well, you can buy a pre-owned vehicle, fairly newer pre-owned vehicle, and have a longer warranty on that vehicle than you would a new vehicle for a cheaper price.
And that was my point. So that's just some thoughts if you're out there, Of course, we have great deals on new cars, but you can save a lot of money buying something a year or two old and warranty the car for 100,000 miles, which would give you 3 times the amount of warranty it would have as new.
Speaking of warranty, did you tell them what happened because we're above 43%? We're up in the 70, what we get to do with our warranties?
No.
So the national average for warranties is around 43%, and we're up into the mid to high 70 percentile. Because of that, Zurich's letting us give everybody warranties at employee pricing, which is probably about 50% off of what you normally pay for one. It's a great deal.
Yeah, and the reason why that's so important is because we want you to be protected. We're not making the cars, so we want you to be protected when you buy a car. So guess what? If you need a transmission for 10 grand, it's not going to cost you anything because you got a warranty. Or, power window or those screens. What are those screens, like 3 or 4 grand?
They're like closer to 6 grand.
Yeah.
So we just want you protected. So if you're in the market for a car, Blaise Alexander, we've been here for 7-8 years now, and it's just a good place to buy cars. So
It is.
stop in and see us, and I'm going to introduce you to some of the staff. Come on, follow us.
Hi, this is Felicia.
And I'm Dania.
And from all of us here at Blaise Alexander GMC in Hazleton,
We want to wish you a
happy
holidays.
Hey guys, this is Willie from Blaise Alexander. We just want to wish you a happy holidays. Hola muchachos, este es Willie from Blaise Alexander. Solo quiero desearle una feliz Navidad.
From everyone at Blaise Alexander Collision of Hazleton, happy holidays!
I'm Janelle Sirkin. I'm a board member with the Stuart Tank Memorial Association in Berwick, Pennsylvania. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about what we have to offer in Berwick. We have a museum on Vine Street, which is located very near the Berwick YMCA. And our museum is dedicated to everyone that built, fought, and died with the Stuart Tank during World War II. Now, inside the museum, we have a wide array of things for people to look at. And you can come to the museum on Vine Street on Tuesdays, Fridays, and Saturdays, or by appointment at any time to see everything that we have to offer. Inside the museum, we have a fully restored Stuart Tank that's on loan from the National Museum of the Marine Corps. We also have a lot of artifacts from the American Car and Foundry, which they were the ones that actually manufactured all of the Stuart tanks during World War II. We have a lot of other artifacts from World War II and anything having to do with the Stuart Tank. We have so many display items inside of our museum that we're actually running out of room. Our museum is actually like stepping back in time. Not only do we have display items such as period-appropriate firearms and any militaria, but we also have what's called the 1940s homeroom. And when you step into this room, it's like being in a kitchen, a living room, a parlor, and an office, as it would have appeared in the 1940s, complete with blackout curtains, an authentic desk from the American Car and Foundry and typewriter. It also has a memorial to one of Columbia County's only Medal of Honor recipients, Day Turner. Day Turner was born and raised in Berwick, and he was drafted, and it turns out he was a World War II hero in the village of Dahl, Luxembourg, and he basically saved the village of Dahl from 400 Germans, 8 tanks, and hundreds of mortar rounds. And he and his team of 8 men fought off all of that. And in Dahl, Luxembourg, he's still considered a hero of epic proportions. So you can see all of this at our museum. And we would, as of right now, we've had people from 42 states and 15 different countries across the globe that have visited our museum. And we have a lot of repeat visitors. And we are a nonprofit. We're always looking for sponsors for any of our special events. We work on public donations. Everything we do is free and open to the public. So we're always looking for support to just keep us going and keeping history alive. We are located on Vine Street in Berwick, and we do have a Facebook page, Stuart Tank Memorial Association. We have a website. There is a link on those to donate. And we also are soliciting memberships. You can be a yearly member for $25, or you can be a lifetime member for $250. And all of that goes straight to all of our activities that help keep the Stuart Tank memories alive. Blaise has been a sponsor for our World War II weekend over the years, and Blaise is very benevolent. So we're hoping that this partnership here with this Thanksgiving event is going to start an even bigger partnership between our two organizations.
Hi, my name is Adam Hartzell. I am with the Berwick Stuart Tank Memorial Association, and what you see behind me is a real World War II M3A1 light tank, also known as the Stuart. This tank actually belongs to our organization, which is a 501c3 nonprofit. We also have a museum in the town of Berwick at 309 North Vine Street. This tank does not live at 309 North Vine Street at our museum. However, we have a garage that we do regular maintenance and upkeep on this tank, and that's actually where we restored it over the last few years. We actually acquired this tank in 2016 in the spring of that year from a private collector in England. The private collector in England named Mike Stallwood of RR Motor Services, he actually got a batch of about 16 unrestored M3 or M3A1 Stuart tanks out of Brazil in the early 2000s. Mike actually was a military vehicle collector, restorer, and he sold off a lot of the Stuart Tank projects over the years to various museums and collections around the world to be restored as monuments, as running vehicles, running memorials, things like that. And we actually were very fortunate when we got this tank. It was very complete in terms of the pieces and parts that were on it. There were parts we had to source, but all of the major components were here. We did end up replacing the engine in this. The Continental W670 is the primary power of this vehicle. Later Stuarts, the M5 and M5A1, they have twin Cadillac engines in them and a hydromatic transmission, whereas this one, the M3A1 as well as the M3, which came before it, and the M3A3, which followed it, they have a Continental W670 radial engine. And we actually run this engine on aviation fuel. That's actually the best thing for these radial engine tanks from World War II, which also includes some of the early Sherman variants, which you might be familiar with. Now, our tank, we restored it over the last few years. Myself, my dad, a good friend of mine, Steve Greenberg, who owned his own M3A1 tank, we actually got together and put in a lot of hours, a lot of time, and a lot of money that was raised through community donations, sponsorships, things like that over the last 10 years to get this thing restored and operating in a safe and reliable state. And now we're taking it to many different public events, parades, World War II reenactments, things like that. And, you know, bringing the history of Berwick, Pennsylvania, and the American Car and Foundry Company, which was the manufacturer of this tank, to the public and educating everybody on the history of Berwick and the ACF's contributions to the war effort. As part of our efforts, as well as operating our museum and our restored tank, we actually take our tank down to the Berwick Test Track Park every summer in the middle of July. In 2026, it's going to be July 17th through 19th for our annual World War II reenactment event, where we actually have multiple other Stuart tanks of various manufacturers and variants come in, and we do tank demos around the test track where you actually see these tanks operate as they would have during the war. They're very fast. Their top speed is about 35 miles an hour, but we keep it in second or third gear usually when we're actually going around a test track or at public demonstrations. But we also have, in addition to at least about 4 or 5 tanks at World War II weekend operating and doing demos, we have over 250 to 300 reenactors like myself camping out in the fields at the test track park in period tents, bringing in more period vehicles, Jeeps, trucks, CCKWs, Dodge weapons carriers, half tracks, you name it. And in fact, at our reenactment, you can actually make a donation and take a ride in Lady Lois, as well as other vehicles such as an M3 half track, a Weasel, and even get to shoot blanks with real World War II blank adapted weapons at our firing range. This year we had about 3,600 public attend our 2025 World War II weekend, and we're hoping to break that record once again in 2026, and we're also hoping to break our record of 5 Stuart tanks in attendance next year as well. So if you guys are from the local area, come on down to Berwick World War II weekend, July 17th through 19th of 2026. Our event is free admission. There are extra experiences you can make a donation and take, such as our tank rides, half-track rides, things like that. We also have food vendors, military vendors, so you can get your own uniform and historic military collectibles and build up your own collection. But it's fun for the whole family, and like I said, free admission. That's hard to find these days, and we're very proud of that. And as part of our program for World War II weekend, we actually keep our World War II weekend free admission as well as our museum free admission by donations from our local community and sponsorships of World War II weekend. If you're interested in those things, you can check us out on our website at berwickstuarttank.org or our Facebook page, which is Stuart Tank Memorial Association. So the reason we actually brought Lady Lois here to Blaise Alexander is to support they and the Valor Clinic Foundation and their efforts to get 600 Thanksgiving turkeys donated for Valor Foundation's efforts. And I believe this is a great example of what a great community partner that Blaise Alexander Buick GMC is to not only the Hazleton community, but the greater Pennsylvania community as well, as our tank and museum are actually from Berwick, about half an hour from here. But they are a great community sponsor and partner, and we're very gracious to them for sponsoring our World War II weekend the last few years as well. They're a great business I can't say enough good things about. And as you can see, partnering with a museum like us as well as the Valor Foundation, that's a pretty good groups to partner with for nonprofit work like this. So Lady Lois is actually the second variant of the Stuart tank that was produced during World War II, the M3A1. Now, the M3A1 is the second variant, as I said, and it has the same gun, same armament and main characteristics as the other variants, such as the M3, M3A3, M5, and M5A1, which includes the Continental W670 engine that I mentioned earlier, and the transmission is actually a 5-speed manual. It's actually called a synchro mesh transmission, so it's not a typical synchronized transmission. And the main things you want to know about this tank are it's a light tank. Like I said, light tanks were designed to be fast and do recon and cavalry type of missions rather than fighting enemy tanks. Because many people will often say, oh, that won't hold up against a bigger German tank or things like that. Yes, but when you're considering that fact, you also have to acknowledge the tank was not designed to fight an enemy tank, other than smaller, lighter tanks like the early German Panzer Is, Panzer IIs, and things smaller than this. Now, the armament is a main gun of 37mm caliber, and then you also have 3 30 caliber machine guns throughout the vehicle, and you have 2 fuel tanks in this. They both hold about 26, 28 gallons of fuel each, and you're only going to get about a mile a gallon driving this tank down the road. But thankfully, during World War II, our military was very well supplied and equipped. So it was not very often you would have vehicles running out of, armament, ammo, fuel, whatever they needed. But you'd have a crew of 4 in this. You have a driver, a bow gunner with a machine gun in the front. Those 2 guys are down there. And then you have a main gunner and commander operating the turret, operating the main gun, operating the coaxial, and operating the anti-aircraft gun. In the field, you'd have at least several days worth of food, ammunition, supplies, and all that inside or on the tank with you at all times. And actually this tank, if you look closely right here, these mounts right here, those are actually for added external fuel tanks in addition to the standard 2 main fuel tanks in the vehicle. Those were often seen and used by the British in North Africa as well as the Pacific sometimes. This tank did not see a whole lot of American use during World War II, although they were used in North Africa by the Americans and a lot in the Pacific by the Marine Corps. The Stuart tank, at least the M3 variants, the M3, M3A1, and M3A3, they were mostly a Lend-Lease vehicle. Through the Lend-Lease program, they would go to countries like the British, the Polish, the Soviets even got some of them. The Chinese got a lot of M3A3s. And the term Stuart for Stuart light tank was actually given to these tanks by the British. The British actually were kind of making a bit of a slight at the American military, naming it after a Confederate general from the Civil War. So another story from North Africa, from the British, they actually also called these honeys. The reason they called them a honey is because they were a honey of a tank to drive, and there is actual documentation from British records in their national archives documenting it as such, that tank crews were literally saying in their reports to their higher-ups, they are a honey of a tank to drive. And if you're trained properly, they truly are a honey of a tank to drive and operate and crew, in my experience. In my opinion, they're a very underrated vehicle. They don't get the fame and recognition of the Sherman tanks in World War II, but they were very good at what they were designed for, and I think the British complement of these tanks is enough to really prove their worth in combat during World War II. We at the Stuart Tank Association are very proud of our World War II M3A1 Stuart tank and our restoration, and we're going to try to keep it on the road as long as possible for the foreseeable future and continue to share the history of the Berwick American Car and Foundry Company and all of our veterans and ACF workers' efforts during World War II to come together and defeat tyranny during the Second World War. And we're very proud of it, and hopefully you come on out to Berwick World War II weekend next year, July 17th through 19th, and see these tanks in action, or you can stop by our museum in Berwick 3 days a week. Tuesday and Saturday, we're open from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m., and on Fridays, we're open from 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. So come on out and see us and learn about the Stuart Tank.
Happy Thanksgiving, Hazleton! Happy Thanksgiving! You get a tank! You get a tank! You get a tank!